There is no end to Khalistani rampage abroad. The Indian High Commissioner Vikram Doraisamy was blocked from entering a Gurdwara by Khalistani sympathizers in United Kingdom, Scotland. According to the details, Doraisamy was stopped by a group of radical British Sikh activists who told him that he wasn't welcome. Indian High Commissioner planned a meeting with the Gurdwara Committee of the Glasgow Gurdwara on Albert Drive. When Khalistani elements found out about the meeting, they gathered outside the Gurdwara and blocked him. The incident comes amid the India-Canada diplomatic row, which started after Ottawa alleged that Indian agents were behind the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Geeta Mohan, a Foreign Affairs editor, has more details on that big story. Geeta, in fact, we've seen heightened activity on the part of Khalistanis, and this is rather worrying. This is not Canada, this is Scotland. How is the Indian government going to now register a protest? Because this is a real law and order situation, also raising questions on how safe are Indian diplomats outside of India.
Well, this is a growing problem for India. It has become a growing problem because the pro-Khalistani Sikh activists or Khalistani elements are active not just in Canada. They're active in the United Kingdom. They're active in the United States of America, as also in Australia and many other parts. And if you remember, Sneha, the biggest and the first violent incident against an Indian mission took place in London. It was not in Canada. So now we will have to see how the Indian government reacts to this, how they take it up with the UK administration on security threats, and the fact that the Indian High Commissioner in the UK also finds himself in a very precarious, as also very a situation in a situation where his life and his well-being could be under threat. There are concerns, but also because of the statements that have come in from Canada alleging Indian involvement in Nijjar's killing, there is a heightened tension between the Khalistani groups in various countries and the Indian missions. So a failed attempt.
Geeta, I'm just going to come back to you in a moment from now. We'll talk about that, but I'm welcoming, in fact, Swasti Rao, defense expert on the show. Thank you so much for your time this morning. How do you respond to this? An Indian diplomat has been physically stopped from entering a Gurdwara in Glasgow. We've seen heightened activity on the part of these Khalistanis, but like we've been discussing, this is a real safety issue.
Yeah, absolutely. A very good morning to you. This definitely is not good. This must be, a very serious crackdown must happen on this, and especially when it comes to the UK. I think this is not the first time something to this effect has happened. If you remember what happened in March, and after that incident in March when they had vandalized the Indian High Commission properties, etc. I think the two sides had gotten together. The UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak had promised creation of a task force, and they had told the Indian side that they have created a special fund to crack down on such activities and to discourage any such activities in the name of terrorism. But I think what is now evident is that that is not enough, and we definitely need a more proactive and a systematic approach to crack down on these elements, because I think it has become a joke that everybody understands that, these elements that go to these countries under the guise of asylum seeking and then, for upholding human rights and all that, all such things are basically acting against the national interest of the Indian state. And I think especially with the UK, this is also more concerning because we are very close to finalizing, a very important trade deal, a free trade agreement with the UK. And these particular things need to be tackled alongside, because we can't be working as business as usual. So I think this is something which is definitely going to dampen, the UK-India ties. I think the president has been receptive to it, not just Rishi Sunak, but also Boris Johnson. But what is little concerning is that the UK side has not been able to stop these India activities from happening on their soil, and this is a matter of concern for all Indians.
Is India going to raise this? Because this is not just Canada. Our diplomatic ties with Canada have nosedived in that sense. But what about the other countries? Because we've seen this in the US, we've seen this in the UK now. How can India raise this?
Oh yeah, I think India is doing everything to raise it, and I think the foreign minister S. Jaishankar has been very vocal in saying that India is willing to cooperate with any such intelligence if it exists. I think Canada is a very very well discussed. Incident by now, but obviously in Canada we also understand that it's also Justin Trudeau's internal domestic circus which is making him, fall prey to these extremists. So we understand that in his own party, in his own government, there are certain number of MPs that are actually from the Khalistan, sympathizers and the movement. So I think his domestic circus is a completely different thing. And the way he has taken it up, I'm sure he has been drawing flack and criticism from everywhere in the world, because that is just not the way to take up issues, and you can't be standing up in your parliament and saying to a friendly country otherwise things that don't really have a solid basis in terms of evidence. So I think the Indian side has made it very clear that we would always like to take a look and cooperate whenever such things come to fore. But the more important thing, Sneha, which is something that I'm trying to reiterate here again and again, is that this is a common problem